Hey folks, if you missed it today was the annual release of Edison Research's study, The Infinite Dial. This is a longitudinal study that's now 12 years old and has some of the best marketing data available in terms of things that we need to know about our audiences by a firm that is unimpeachable in their research, which means that it is as credible as the most credible institutions. They take their work extremely seriously. Not a scrap of fake news to be found. So a couple of things that stood out, and I think this is important on the podcasting side in particular. There's a lot of really interesting data in here about podcasting. The number of people who have listened to a podcast in America, Americans 12 and up, is estimated at 124 million, or 44%. For the number of people who listen monthly, 73 million, or about 26% of the population. And for what I think is really interesting is that the audience for podcasts, 30% of the listeners, the monthly listeners, are 12 to 24. 32% are 25 to 54. So there's a really good, broad audience there. In terms of who listens weekly, 48 million. And for people who do listen to podcasts weekly, they listen to an average of 7 a week. And where do they do this? They do it on their smartphone. Almost 70% listen on their smartphone. Now, the most surprising to me in this entire deck was where people listen to podcasts, which is in their homes, 49%, and 22% commuting in their car or truck. When you think about it, podcasting is an incredibly underrated marketing vehicle because someone is literally putting our voices as marketers into their ears. They're jamming us as close to their brain as they can physically safely get without causing, invasive damage to their bodies. And so, if we have something valuable to say, if we have something that is useful, that educates, entertains, or engages, we should be considering the audio medium. So obviously a lot of folks are doing a ton with video these days. I'm doing it right now. But you'll notice that I'm using an iPhone, right? This is not the world's best video camera by far. Where I spend my money is on the audio gear, the microphones, the headphones, and stuff like that. Why? Because something that David Temes of Keynote Eye said that I thought was so insightful. People will watch TV that has kind of a not great picture, but the audio is fine. People don't watch a TV with no sound, right? Even the picture is perfectly crystal clear. They don't have the same behavior. They can force themselves to watch like a static-y broadcast if they can hear it. You see this at bars and things. And so if you're doing any kind of multimedia marketing, invest in making it sound good for a couple reasons. One, obviously, if you're doing this in the visual medium, you obviously want it to sound really good. But then think about repurposing that content over and over again. My friend and former CEO, Todd Jeffrin, called this content atomization in 2008. I could take this video, remove the audio from it, render it to an MP3, and then put it into an RSS feed, and then now it's a podcast, as long as it's got an RSS feed behind it, right? So if you invest in good audio gear for your video, even if your video gear is terrific, you will produce stuff that is high quality, that is a pleasant experience for people. They can listen to this audio, and then what they can do is go and download the podcast and listen separately. And if we as marketers want to get super clever, we can use text-to-speech recognition, speech-to-text recognition, machine learning powered stuff that can take what we're saying and transcribe it. It's not perfect. There are an awful number of interesting goof-ups when you watch like the auto-generated closed captions on YouTube, but it's a start. You don't have to transcribe from scratch. You can edit rather than just have to manually type it in. So think about that when you're starting your multimedia experiences. Create for the richest experience possible, but bias towards the audio a little bit. It's also cheaper. That way you have things that you can split into multiple different formats while only having to produce the master source medium one time. So Really good information from Edison Research. Go check their study out. It's over at edisonresearch.com. Filled with fascinating things in terms, especially like what's happening with Facebook. Why are they losing users, etc. Lots of good stuff to take a look at there. And please stay subscribed to the YouTube channel here and to the newsletter. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.